The man who wrestled with God. Jacob's mysterious night. The night was almost over, but Jacob was still awake, alone beside the river, his family and possessions already sent ahead, the darkness surrounding him, and for the first time in many years, there was nowhere left to run. Tomorrow Jacob would meet his brother Esau, and Esau was coming with 400 men. Jacob knew what that could mean. Years earlier, Jacob had fled from his home because Esau wanted him dead. He had deceived his father, taken the blessing that belonged to his older brother, and escaped before Esau could carry out his anger. Now, after many years of separation, Jacob was going back, but he did not know whether Esau had come to forgive him or to destroy him. Jacob prayed. He reminded God of the promise he had made. He asked for protection, and he admitted that he was afraid. Then Jacob divided his family and possessions into groups, hoping that if disaster came, at least some of them might survive. But there was one more thing Jacob had to do. He had to face the night alone. If you enjoy cinematic journeys through scripture, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who loves Bible stories, and subscribe to Bible Story Vault for more stories from Scripture. Tonight we are entering one of the strangest moments in the Bible, the night Jacob wrestled with a mysterious man beside the river, and by the time the sun rose, Jacob would never walk the same way again. Jacob remained alone. The river moved quietly beside him, the darkness covered the surrounding land, and the distant sounds of his family faded into silence. Then something happened. A man, Genesis tells us, that a man wrestled with Jacob until the breaking of the day. There is no long explanation, no warning, no introduction. The struggle simply begins. Jacob fought. The mysterious man fought back. Hour after hour they wrestled in the darkness. Jacob had spent his entire life struggling for his brother's birthright, struggling for his father's blessing, struggling against his uncle Laban, struggling to build a family, struggling to survive. And now on the edge of the promised land, Jacob found himself struggling again, but this struggle was different. He was not fighting for wealth. He was not fighting for position. He was not fighting against Esau. He was fighting with a mysterious figure whom he could not understand. The night continued. Jacob refused to let go. Then suddenly the man touched Jacob's hip, and his hip was put out of joint. The strength went out of Jacob's leg. The fight should have been over, but Jacob still would not release him. Mysterious man said, "Let me go, for the day is broken." But Jacob answered with words that reveal something about his heart. "I will not let you go unless you bless me." Jacob was wounded. He was exhausted. He could barely stand. Yet he refused to walk away empty-handed. The man then asked him a strange question. "What is your name?" Jacob already knew the answer. "My name is Jacob." That name carried a history. Jacob meant one who grasps the heel, and it had become associated with his life of taking hold, deceiving, struggling, and grasping for what he wanted. He had grasped his brother's heel at birth. He had grasped the birthright. He had grasped the blessing. He had spent years trying to secure his future through his own schemes, and now standing wounded in the darkness, Jacob had to speak his name. Jacob, the deceiver, the struggler, the man who had spent his life trying to control what happened next. Then the mysterious man said something that would change everything. "Your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel." The name Israel would become connected with the people who would come from Jacob's family. But the meaning of the moment was deeper than a new name. Jacob was no longer simply the man running from his past. He was becoming the man who had encountered God and survived. Jacob then asked the question that reveals just how mysterious the encounter had been. "Please tell me your name." But the answer was not what he expected. "Why is it that you ask my name?" Then the mysterious figure blessed him, and Jacob understood that this was no ordinary man. Jacob called the place Peniel, saying, "For I have seen God face to face, and yet my life has been delivered." Think about that moment. Jacob had spent his life trying to secure blessings through human effort, but the greatest blessing of his life came when he could no longer depend on his own strength. He entered the night strong enough to wrestle. He left the night limping, And yet strangely, he left stronger than before because Jacob had discovered something he had spent his entire life avoiding. He could not control everything. He could not guarantee tomorrow. He could not manipulate every outcome. He could not protect himself from every danger. He could only hold on to God. Then the sun rose, the darkness began to disappear, and Jacob slowly made his way toward his family. But there was something different about him. Genesis says he limped because of his hip. Every step reminded him of the night. Every movement carried the memory of the encounter. Jacob had entered the darkness fearing Esau. Now he walked toward Esau carrying a wound and a blessing. But there was still one question. What would happen when he finally saw his brother? Jacob looked ahead, and there they were, Esau and 400 men approaching. Jacob arranged his family carefully. He went ahead of them, and as Esau drew closer, Jacob bowed himself to the ground. 7 times man, who had once stolen from his brother, was now lowering himself before him. Then something happened that Jacob could not have predicted. Esau ran toward him. Jacob may have expected anger. He may have expected revenge. Instead, Esau embraced him. He threw his arms around his brother. He kissed him, and they wept. Years of fear collapsed in a single embrace. The brother Jacob had spent years running from was no longer chasing him. The past he feared had finally caught up with him, and instead of death, Jacob found mercy. Is one of the quietest miracles in the story. Jacob had prepared for war. God had prepared reconciliation. Jacob had expected an enemy. God had preserved a brother, and perhaps that is why the night beside the river mattered so much. Before Jacob could face Esau, he had to face God. Before he could receive peace from his brother, he had to surrender his own struggle. Before he could walk into a new chapter, he had to stop running from the old one. The Bible never gives us every detail of that mysterious encounter. It does not explain every movement of the struggle. It does not tell us exactly how the man appeared, but Scripture gives us enough to understand the weight of the moment. Jacob wrestled with a divine figure. Jacob was wounded. Jacob refused to let go. Jacob received a new name. And Jacob walked away changed. Man who once depended on deception was learning dependence. The man who once tried to seize blessings was learning to receive them. The man who once ran from danger was finally walking toward it, and he was not walking alone. 8 years later, Jacob would become the father of 12 sons, and through those sons, the tribes of Israel would emerge. The name given to him beside the river would become the name of a nation that would carry God's promises through generations. And the story that began with one frightened man in the darkness would become part of a much greater story. A story that would eventually lead to the coming of the Messiah. Jacob entered the night as a man afraid of what tomorrow might bring. He left it carrying a wound that reminded him he was not in control. But perhaps that wound was also a reminder that he had encountered the God who wastes sun rose over Jacob's path. He was still limping. He was still facing an uncertain future. He still did not know everything that awaited him, but he was no longer the same man who had entered the darkness. The greatest transformation does not happen when the struggle disappears. Sometimes it happens while we are still in the middle of it. Jacob wanted a blessing. What he received was a new identity. He wanted protection. What he received was dependence. He wanted control over tomorrow. What he received was faith to walk into it. And when the morning finally came, Jacob walked forward, not because he knew what would happen, but because he knew the one who had met him in the darkness. If you enjoyed this cinematic journey through the mysterious night of Jacob, subscribe to Bible Story Vault for more cinematic stories, hidden moments, and unforgettable journeys through Scripture. And join us for the next story from the Bible.